Okay, so I just want to demo quickly one of the UIs and workflows for one of the startups I'm working on. And the idea here is to create a workflow so that when you're talking to an LLM, fundamentally, or having a chat, we extract a series of facts, data points, and hypothesis of that conversation, and then further questions about it. So the workflow is still being evolved, especially the questions and hypotheses, but it already works really cool, really nicely. So here you go. So let's say you got this question, welcome to text analyzer, let's give an introduction. So this is the original text. So this is what we give to the LLM. And then, so basically what it means is every time there's an answer, so every time we provide a bit of text to the LLM, we do this sort of analysis. What you just saw here is that we make multiple calls to LLMs to extract facts, data points, questions, and hypotheses. So you can see here, right? In this case, there was kind of no facts. We just had two questions, right, to follow next, right, and a number of hypotheses, right? That we could have the user as a compliance officer that might need to do this, etc. So let's look at the questions. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can either add the question and then answer the question manually, right? So there you go. So that's the question asked, right? So we could say, this is for mid-size UK SME with, let's say, 50 employees, right? So then we provide. So now what's cool about this is you could see now we already extract a data point. For example, employees, we extract some facts, mid-sized SME, it has 50 employees. So this is really cool. So the idea is that as the conversation evolves, we are extracting information from it. And then we have follow-on questions. Now, we can do the same thing. You can ask the question there, and eventually the question will be auto-picked. Or this just simulates the workflow, right? So let's say what specific aspects of the SME financial performance are more interested evaluating, etc., right? In this particular case, right? So let's say I generate an answer, right? And then or focus on risk exposure, core data handling, yada, yada. We also want to understand financial impact of GDPR gaps, right? So that could be an answer that the user / the customer provided. So now we got a bunch of facts, right? So the facts, again, primary focus, operation, efficient exposure. We want to evaluate this. We understand the financial impact of GDPR. And this is a good example of where the LLMs actually get it right, because in a way we have provenance, right? Like the reason why we have this fact is because the user provided this answer to that question, right? So that is really interesting, right? And then we can follow up, right? So then, there's some further hypotheses that we have, some further questions to have. So we could say, like, what specific data handling process are you currently using that are creating bottlenecks? So again, let's explore that, right? And again, we still rely on a manual pipeline, custom information, entered by junior admin, yada, yada. So again, you could see that for this one, you got now a couple more data points and a bunch of more facts, right? Look, manual pipeline, etc. And again, this is really cool because now we start to have fact-driven sort of analysis. And then the idea is that each of these conversations, you could see, we extract the facts, the hypothesis, the summary, etc. For each of these. And we also have a global view, which is all the facts, all the data points, all the questions, and all the hypotheses that we currently have, right? And then the idea is that you do this for a while, and eventually we can have an analysis view where, again, you can see all the facts, data points that we have, and then we can create a summary, let's say, of what's this. And again, the real power of this summary is being created based on the facts and the data points that were created. For example, like the reason we say 50-person workforce is because we have 50 employees here. And the reason we say 50 employees is because we have that information. And that's really cool. And again, you can say, all right, where's the data? Where's the provenance of all this? So what's cool about this is for every one of these requests, you can see that we got the IDs here. I can actually go and see the actual LLM request that was used, the prompt, the information, and then and what we get back, right? So in this particular case, this was the fact extracting. So this is the prompt that says you're gonna extract facts from this. Here's the prompt to analyze, and then here's the response that actually exists. And we could even go all the way to the actual raw request that was made to the LLM, the message, how it was sent, and actually what we retrieved from it, which is cool. And actually, this is interesting because in this model that I used, which was the GPT Open OS 22B, actually has an interesting reasoning, which is again more information about how we actually grab the information. So that's kind of the logic, right? The logic here is still rough around the edges, but it's actually already pretty cool. And you can do multiple analysis. I want to do an ISO 27 review, and same thing, right? And then we can go from the flows. And again, I just started here. Yep, there you go. Data points, 27,001, right? ISO, right? And also, you could also ask questions, right? What is ISO 27K, right? And then you get a nice answer on the back of it, right? So cool. So actually, I think, whoops, sorry. Yeah, there you go. Right, ISO, so family international standards, yada, right? So so that's kind of the workflow that we are working on. Still rough around the edges. The new version has a lot more features, and by the way, this is a good example of developing using that sort of iterative development flow where you got multiple versions here. Each version is kind of more evolved than the previous one, and again, each one is self-contained from this, so you can actually see the multiple flows here, which again, it's pretty cool.